Television doesn't get more prestige than Netflix Ripley. Netflix series presents a different way of enjoying a classic, promising a thrilling ride for viewers. Welcome back to FlixGo, I'm Fan. Today we are diving deep into the thrilling world of con artists with our review of Netflix's latest sensation, Ripley. But before we get started, hit the like button and subscribe to FlixGo for more exciting reviews and updates. Patricia Highsmith's enigmatic Tom Ripley character has been brought to life in some very good movies. Eliot played him in Purple Noon, Matt Damon took on the role in the Italian Miss Ripley, and John Malkovich was sublime as an older version in Ripley's game. So, do we really need another Tom Ripley? Watching the story play out across 8 hours of gorgeously produced television in Ripley, the answer is unequivocally yes. This is simultaneously the most faithful adaptation of Highsmith's character and the most visually unique. Andrew Scott stars as the titular con artist who is sent to Italy on all expenses paid trap by Warren's father, played by the great director Kenneth Lonergan, hoping to bring his bohemian son home. Ripley, who has been living parasitically in the proverbial gutters of New York. Fortune checks and hiding out from the law, relishes the opportunity, and from there will let nothing stop his lifestyle change. It's a slow series, methodical in its portrayal of Ripley, Italy, and what really defines a life of crime. It's the kind of show that will spend an entire episode having Ripley carefully, sometimes clumsily, clean up after his own crimes. If you have the patience for it, it's so much more fulfilling than the usual crime series. Andrew Scott brings Ripley and his crimes to life. Ripley heads to Italy and awkwardly infiltrates the lives of Dickie Greenleaf, that played by Johnny Flynn, and his girlfriend Marge, played by Dakota Johnson, and has no intention of bringing Dickie back to his father, played by Kenneth Lonergan. He sees the way these lackadaisical rich kids live and wants that for himself. He views them with a mixture of envy and contempt. They want to be artists in Europe, but they are talentless Americans fooling themselves. The most recognizable human emotion that Ripley has is pride. He believes he's more talented than anyone else, and his small crimes escalate into big ones as if to dare the world to prove him wrong. Andrew Scott is absolutely spellbinding and an interesting choice to play Tom Ripley, ultimately giving a fantastic and very physical performance. The soulful and charming man from the cast of Fleabag and All of Us Strangers is gone, only to surface in an ugly artificial way where Ripley is pretending to be good or normal. The closest analog to his role would be the criminal genius Moriarty in Sherlock. But even that character seemed delighted with being bad. There is a little joy in Scott's performance, which makes it all more disturbing self-satisfaction surface from time to time, where Ripley feels like he has outsmarted everyone else and gotten away with that. That's what he seems to live for. Ripley only ever feels comfortable in his own skin when he is lying or deceiving. His actions only seem purposeful when he is enacting a scheme or cleaning up after one. The series is slow and meticulous in chronicling these, sometimes injecting dry humor at the almost absurd length Ripley will or is forced to go. The disposal of a dead body or sinking of a ship becomes a long, awkward comedy of errors. It's very realistic. Ripley is not superhuman, and his crimes are almost justified after the fact. Like a predator, he acts, and then thinks his way out of it. The way the creators of the series depict all this is again methodical but mesmerizing. Ripley, coming from Oscar-winning artists. Ripley is prestige television, crafted by some of the most skilled artists in the industry. Steven Zaillian writes and directs every episode, and if you think it's strange that the Oscar-winning writer of Schindler's List would take on a Highsmith adaptation, recall that Zaillian was also the writer of cat and mouse thrillers like Hannibal 2001, American Gangster 2007, and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo 2011. This series, like his last television show, The Night Of, is better than all of those films, however. Zaillian assembles an expert team here, his ace in the hole being cinematographer Robert Elswit. Paul Thomas Anderson, go-to director of photography for films like There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights, who also did wonders with Syriana, Michael Clayton, Nightcrawler, and 2 Mission Impossible films. The wonderful composer and musician Jeff Fruso, Ligon, Fargo, works perfectly with Elswit to create a beautiful synchronicity of sound and image. Netflix Ripley is very different from its talented predecessor. The great irony, though, is that these fine artists are working to drain life and emotion from what's typically been presented as sensual, sweetie, and suspenseful. Ripley is certainly still tense with suspense, but of a very different kind than other adaptations that lean into the hot, colorful, sexual aspects of Italy and Ripley and Dickie's relationship. Presented in cold black and white and keeping conversations praised, Ripley utilizes its sublime talent not to glorify and beautify Highsmith's story, but to portray it through the icy and emerald perspective of Ripley himself. The results tell gorgeous but lonely and haunting. Stripped of zest and zeal, Ripley's Rome is a ghost town and he's an apparition. It's a far cry from previous versions and more honest to Ripley's headspace. This may lead some to find Ripley too emotionless and dull for a crime thriller. Even these supporting characters can come across as indifferent or without effect. The point, as indicated by the title, is that this adaptation is an illustration of Ripley's world and worldview. Some lives sparked by the detective on Ripley's case, Inspector Ravini, mainly because actor Maurizio Lombardi of the young pub and the new pub is so inherently charismatic and delightful. And John Malkovich himself shows up near the end in an interesting twist. Malkovich's character, like some others in Ripley, complements one of the show's most interesting themes and details, namely that there is a sixth sense of evil, a kind of criminal radar detection system lurking beneath polite society. The only people who really see Ripley for who he is are criminals and con artists themselves, and Ripley recognizes them as well. Game respects game. That's another haunting suggestion from Ripley, that Tom is not the only one that disguises are best worn by devils. Recognizing them takes a kind of talent only they possess. And that wraps up our journey with Netflix Ripley. What did you think? Do you have thoughts on Ripley or suggestions for what we should review next? Drop us a comment below. We love hearing from you because the FlixGo community thrives on your insights. If you enjoyed our review, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more reviews, insights, and all things cinema right here on FlixGo.